fact that the party needed to maintain its status as a certified party, did that play in your decision to jump into the race when no other Republican had so far?
Well, it's fair to say that I was receiving encouragement from people all across the state who are Republicans to get into the race. Not so much for that reason, because I'm not into this to get 4%. I'm in this race to win. And I believe after going across the state over the last few months, the people that I've spoken with believe I have a chance to win as well. So I'm going to give it every ounce of energy that I have. I started my announcements in Jonesboro today because I wanted that part of the state to know that they're not going to be forgotten. I'm going to be traveling to 10 cities in 2 days over the course of the next couple of days to let people know that I'm on their side in every corner of this state.
You mentioned a lot of federal policies. What made your decision to run for governor versus something like Senate or Congress where you directly go to Washington?
My family. I've been there and done that. I spent time going back and forth to Washington when I worked for Senator Hutchinson. I ran for Congress. I kind of know what that's all about. I think I can have more of an impact as an executive because of my executive experience here. And so I'm looking forward to doing that. Plus, frankly, I have 2 new grandchildren that are less than a year old. I have no desire to spend that much time away from them.
You mentioned a lot of federal policies. Do you feel like Governor Beebe has been outspoken enough in opposing some of the federal policies?
No.
Would you have taken the stimulus money?
With difficulty, I probably would have.
Other governors have not taken that money.
I understand that. You have to understand how it fits into our overall budget needs at the time, but I can tell you that I would resist having additional policies that are going to compromise our national debt and our budget and basically drive us off of a bus off the end of a cliff. You know, we just can't keep doing these kinds of policies at the federal level.
You refer to, you say, as your governor, I will not pull my punches for fear that might hurt someone in either party. Do you think Beebe's been pulling his punches?
I think his record speaks for himself. I think, but let me just say, I'm not in this to run against Governor Beebe. I'm here to tell all of you what I'm going to be doing as governor. And I can't speak for what the governor would want to do or not do. I can tell you that I have no fear of talking to the President of the United States or to anybody else in either party when I think there are policies that are disruptive and that don't help our state.
Do you think he's afraid to do it?
You'd have to ask him.
But how are you trying to distinguish yourself from him by saying that you won't pull your punches?
What I'm saying is that, first of all, Governor Beebe and I served in the Senate together. I consider him to be a friend. I want to talk about issues. He can give you his own feelings about the future, and I'm going to give you mine.
Can the state afford all the tax cuts you're talking about?
I think that we can't afford not to. I think if we take a longer view of what's going on and try to attract businesses over the long haul, we will be able to do it. And again, I don't want to reveal all of the details right now, but I've stayed up studying our budget. I've stayed up until the wee hours of the morning formulating some ideas that I think will work. I owe it to the people of Arkansas to just not have a bunch of rhetoric, but to actually talk with the people at DF&A, to talk to tax experts that I'm already talking with, so that I can put forward a responsible policy that will allow us to accomplish these objectives and have a renaissance of business in this state and not continue to be 46th in virtually every category that you can imagine in terms of income levels and per capita income and all that. We need to do some things that are futuristic in our thinking and help us move forward, not stay where we are.
What departments in state government do you see as inefficient and perhaps need to be cut back if we're going to cut back on spending?
As I told you, I'm going to be looking at every single one of them. Every single one of them.
But nothing in particular right now?
I have some things that I'll be talking about on the campaign trail in the next few months. The answer is yes. There are some. I have a couple of things I want to say, but I don't want to let them out of the bag right now.
You mentioned your work to keep violent offenders in prison. How would that affect your policy on pardons and clemencies? How would that affect your policy on pardons and clemencies as governor compared to previous governors that have been criticized in the past?
Let me put it this way. I think that there is a difference between the people that we are mad at and the people that we're afraid of. the people that we're afraid of, the violent offenders, I'm going to have a very tough stance on that. People that we may be able to have alternative sentencing and other ways of reducing our overcrowded prisons, I'll certainly look at that. But I'm going to probably be much more inclined to take a tougher stance than some governors in the past.
In the legislature, you wanted to expand term limits. Do you still want to do that?
Back in 2002, in 1996, I did propose a bill that had to do with term limits because I believe that the people should have an opportunity to vote on new ideas. It wasn't a bill that would have changed it. It was not an initiated act, but it would have been referred to the people for their vote. And I think anytime you ask the people their opinion, that's a good thing.
Yeah, but it would be something that you would have pushed for to put on the ballot, and that's an active step you would have taken. And so how does that coincide with you saying that you're not a politician who wants to hang around?
And that's exactly right. But I've been around long enough to know that when you've only served in some cases about 90 days in the legislature, and you're now the chairman of a major committee when you have a $4.5 billion budget, that may not be enough time. And I was afraid that it would give more power to the bureaucracy, to the executive branch, and frankly to lobbyists. I don't think that's necessarily good for the state. But my suggestion was not that we get rid of term limits, because I think they have been very valuable, but that we just give the people the opportunity to say whether the term limits should be extended or not, and that's up to the people. And I apologize, but I've got to be in Fort Smith, and I'm actually flying the airplane today. So.